Welcome to the Transform Tomorrow Today podcast, a series dedicated to the complex and exciting world of change in organisations. We are your hosts, Linda McLaughlin and Catherine Tano, and are both global experts in organisation development and change management, working across 5 continents. We help organisations navigate the challenges of transformation successfully, using our expertise as consultants and master coaches over many decades.
In this podcast series, we invite leaders who are at the forefront of transformation to share their own stories and reflect on the lessons learned with changemakers like you. Following each interview, we analyze the case and summarize the key messages and takeaways. Welcome to our community of inspiring changemakers, transforming tomorrow today.
Hello. In this episode, we are delighted to welcome First Lieutenant Aliya Wahid Alsarkal, who is Director of the Learning Branch of the HR Department of Sharjah Police Headquarters in the United Arab Emirates. She is a true pioneering spirit in policing and culture transformation. First Lieutenant Alya pioneered the Positive Coaching Initiative to create a coaching culture in Sharjah Police to improve morale of officers and staff and to enhance its services to citizens. She is a graduate of the ICF-approved Art and Practice of Coaching program and is the first serving police officer in the UAE to become a credential coach. Since 2020, she has qualified over 60 internal coaches, coordinated leader as coach training for 145 senior officers, and developed an internal coaching policy. Our pleasure to have you. Welcome, Lieutenant Alya.
Thank you, Coach Linda. It's my pleasure to be part of this podcast and share the story of Sharjah Police.
Thank you for being with us. Here is a bit of context to Sharjah Police, which is located in one of the more traditional emirates within the UAE. It is the first police force in the EMEA region to systematically introduce a coaching culture across all its functions and provides coaching to its staff members, to convicted offenders and their families, and to those in need within the community. Founded in 1967, today Sharjah Police Headquarters employs over 8,000 officers and professionals within specialized departments in different security and police fields, such as Criminal Investigation Department, Punishment and Correctional Institutions, Forensic Labs, Social Services, Traffic and Patrol. Like all governmental entities within the EAE, it participates in the annual Federal Happiness Index KPI, which measures employee satisfaction and morale. Since developing its coaching culture, this KPI has risen consistently. Let's hear how this police force has embraced coaching and pioneered new learning strategies. Lieutenant Alya, tell us the one unique thing you are doing now in your organization about coaching you are very proud of.
Well, I'm very proud of the positive coaching initiative that we initiated in Sharjah Police in 2020. It started when we got the National Strategy of Happiness and Well-being. And this strategy's main is the individual, the health of the individual, whether it's physical health, mental health, spiritual health. And to cover the objectives of this strategy, we took all sides. So from the physical side in Sharjah Police, we have a lot of initiatives and activities and awareness that we have for our employees to raise the physical health. But the mental health is still something that's very sensitive. So we were looking for a concept that's easy for our employees to accept it. And there, when I entered the certified coaching program, in this program, it really helped me first figure out myself. And then it made me realize how police officers can benefit from it. In 2020, we started this initiative first with our partners that we designed a certified coaching program in Arabic. And it's one of a kind because usually this program is always in English. But we wanted it in Arabic because our mother language is Arabic and our employees will be comfortable in it. So in 2020, we qualified 20 employees to be certified coaches. And then we came to the next step. How could we spread the benefit of coaching to our employees? And here when we targeted the happiness KPIs. So maybe someone would ask, what is the happiness KPIs? The Ministry of Interior each year, they send a questionnaire to know if the employees are happy and they're having a well-being environment in each police headquarters in the UAE. And then they get us the results. So we targeted this KPIs because it's going to be easy for our employees to connect with it, but we use the coaching style and the coaching skills. So our 20 qualified coaches, they started doing coaching sessions with the department who has the least number of happiness. And through using coaching by having, coaching for groups, for one-to-one, people started understanding what is coaching. We didn't stop there. We also coached directors of departments to give them a taste of what's going on and help them strengthen their department and help their employees raise the happiness KPIs. Then we targeted the HR processes. We have a lot of processes and regulations, such as if an employee had a minor behavioral violation, he goes directly to the police court. But we adjusted this law and this procedure while having that if it's a first-time violation, he gets a coaching sessions from 5 to 8 coaching sessions, just to help them redeem themselves and not repeat such violations. And that really helped us a lot because the employees started feeling a sense of responsibility and a sense that they have a chance to do good for themselves. And also we targeted also the annual evaluation system. We added coaching into it. So every time we add coaching to something in the HR procedures and laws, it really actually helped us and benefited our employees. And that I'm really proud of because when you come and see the violation KPIs or the sick leave KPIs or the absence KPIs, there is a drastic change in that. They all decreased in a very positive way. And that made me really proud that our employees are benefiting from coaching.
You can truly be proud of that. You have really settled a true coaching culture, maybe the first time in the police and government.
Your progress so far is so exceptional, Lieutenant Alya. I can't believe that you have only introduced this initiative in 2020 and so far have begun to embed it in how you operate and that you're seeing such impact already. It really does come down to one person who has the passion. And I'm sensing you've got the passion for this. So as you look back on the last few years, what is the main achievement so far from the initiative and how are they making a true difference in your organization? You have mentioned some already, but I'd love you to elaborate.
When I look back, a lot of achievement that happened. First, a new culture had been introduced to Sharjah Police. Sharjah Police is a hierarchy organization. We follow the law. So it's all about do's and don'ts, but to implement a new culture and having everyone in this organization on board is an achievement by itself. Thank God that we have also the support of our general commander, the directors, the managers, everyone support this culture now. And also they are using it. Whenever they feel that their employees are facing any difficulties or they need to reach to a certain goal, they reach to us coaches and Sharjah Police and they use our help. And that's really an achievement by itself. The other thing is that each and every coach in our organization, in his department, he's helping his colleagues and also he's helping the community. Because, for example, in the punishment and correctional institution, our coaches are not only coaching the employees, they're coaching the inmates. They're helping them so that when they go back to the real life, they won't commit the same crime and come back to jail. So that's by itself, it's really helpful. Also, our social services, they're helping the public whenever anyone in the public needs help or they're facing some sort of a phenomena that's happening in the Emirate. They're also helping them by using coaching. Also, when we're coaching our employees, we're helping them, decrease the stress that they have from our work because police work is really hard and it's really stressful. And if the police officer is not doing his job properly, so there will be a risk in the public and the society. So we're helping them decrease their stress level so that they could give their A job and help the society. So when I look back, it started as an idea, and now it's like affecting and reflecting on the community, not just the organization. And I'm really proud of that.
I think you can be very proud. And I think it's worth restating that you are the first police force in the UAE to have a coaching culture. You are the first police force in the whole EMEA, and possibly one of the few in the world who has taken a command and control organization and seen the potential of coaching. And what do you think inspired you as a first lieutenant to make this happen?
Actually, what inspired me is the training course itself, because as I mentioned, we were looking for a new thing to help our employees, and psychology and mental health is really very sensitive in our culture. We don't want to shock our employees with a new thing that they might reject. And coaching is a very easy way to help, especially when people start to understand it. It's a really easy way to help anyone. It's not just meant for a certain people or a certain criteria. It helps everyone. Either they have an issue, they want to reach a certain goal, they want to achieve something. So I think the impact of the coaching course itself really affected me personally, and I want that benefit to be shared by my colleagues as well.
It's really very inspiring what you just said about your vision. Very thoughtful, very meaningful, not only for police, but also for the society, for the people involved, and your own experience to become a coach. You mentioned also the sponsoring of your hierarchy. And I was wondering, how did you manage to make it happen? And what kind of obstacle you have been getting and overcoming?
As I mentioned, we have a hierarchy, we have different ranks, we have different positions. So to get them all on board, first, we had to understand them. And since I'm part of this community, the police community, I know that we are a very practical people. So I didn't waste my time just to give them theory of what coaching is. What I did is first that I made them taste what coaching is. So when it comes to the general commander of Sharjah Police, actually, we invited him to some of the coaching sessions and just to sit and watch what's going on so that he could understand what's happening and how we could benefit from it. Our head directors of department, head of sections, we and our partners, we designed a new program, which is leadership and coaching program, just to give them a taste of what coaching is. Because as directors, they don't need to be a certified coaches. But at least when they understand what coaching is and how they could benefit of it, it really helped us tremendously because they started using it with their teams. They started supporting the other coaches. And now even when they need something, they come to us as a coach. So because now they understand what coaching is and how they could benefit from it. Even when we had some of, let's say, managers who are a bit skeptical of what's going on. So I just invite them to a one-on-one coaching session and I give them the space to speak their mind and we start coaching them. And then after the session, sometimes they call me and they say, now I understand what you mean. You kept me thinking of new things I didn't focus on or I didn't know about, which was already in my mind. And that's really an achievement by itself because, not everyone is the same. Some would go easy, some would be, they need some sort of proof. But when they use it and when they taste it, they change their mind.
I really like this test and learn approach and learning by doing, by experimenting rather than by giving theory. So I remember you also mentioned that you have been quite innovative in learning with some example of gamification. Can you maybe elaborate on that also?
I'm the director of the learning branch. It's a new branch that has been launched in the HR department. We have the training section, and the main purpose of it is that we plan the training for all the employees, how to develop their skills, how to raise their competencies in work. But with this learning branch, we introduced a new styles of learning, not the original style that we have, that everyone knows is like you sit in a lecture and you hear someone talking. we initiated the new things such as gamification. Gamification is we let our employees play a video game. And this video game is like it's planned with a scenario that we need them to understand because they're going to use it in real work life. So we're combining learning and having fun at the same time. So they're playing their video games and they're learning a new skill or a new competency. And that's really made a difference with our employees because they're actually having fun. It's not the regular lecture anymore. Also, we initiated the shadowing learning system. Is that when we have an expert in some area, rather than we make him give a lecture, we bring the new employees who are new in our organization and they work with him. So by shadowing him, they actually learn and work at the same time. And that really helped us, especially in the field, because in the field, they need to do more than they need to know the steps, because while doing, they will know the steps exactly. And these initiatives also, when we worked on, and after applying them, we initiated the learning mechanism, and we got the intellectual property certificate for that. And we are really proud of that. Now we have the learning mechanism and have the intellectual property for it.
I love that, Lieutenant Alya, because I think what you're describing is developing a growth mindset as well, which is very consistent with the concept of a coaching culture. So you're coming at it from a whole lot of different angles. If I could bring you back a moment to the whole idea of metrics, because return on investment is a huge hot topic in all organizations right now. So if you could elaborate again just a little bit of how you are measuring the impact of your coaching culture rollout and the new strategy in learning and development.
Yeah, we have a number of KPIs that's been there for years, and we've been constantly monitoring these KPIs. So whenever we see that there's some issue with the KPI, we want to know where is the issue and how we could solve it. So, for example, as I mentioned before, is the behavioral violation KPI. So when we see it that it's raising, that means there's an issue, because not every employee just wants to do a violation just without any purpose. So we need to know the purpose. So we started targeting these employees. We actually coach them to know the main reason. Is it internal? Is it something external? Is it sometimes it's probably personal issues? So by that, after coaching them, we don't actually just stop there. After a couple of months, we go back and ask about them, ask their managers, how's everything going? And at the same time, we have people who are still monitoring the KPIs, and the KPIs and numbers, they never lie. They tell you the truth. So if the KPI is decreasing, that means we're doing something right. If it's still raising, that means we have to search for new solutions. And thankfully, with coaching, the KPIs are going in a very positive way. Same thing with the training and the learning system. We see the KPIs operations. Let's say if we did gamification game for traffic and petrol department, and after this game, we see that all their KPIs are rising, that means that we did a very good job, because now they're doing their job efficiently and quickly, and there is no delay, and they're giving a, let's say, A+ service. And by that, we know that actually it reflects on what sort of program or learning system that we provided. So everything is measured by our KPIs, and it really shows us before and after, before the program and after the program, what happens. So we really believe in that.
Can I just ask you, in terms of how you are offering coaching to the inmates and members of the community, have you thought about how to evaluate that aspect of it?
With the inmates and the correctional and punishment institution, they have their own KPIs. So they have the KPI of how many inmates who have left jail and how many of them returned back. So this KPI also shows us a very different range number. Because they're doing these coaching, people are now understanding and thinking of what positive thing they could do when they get out of jail, rather than committing the same crime and coming back. We're giving them a lot of options and a lot of skills to help them build their life again.
Seeing how you are spreading the coaching culture either inside but also outside in the civil society, I was just wondering, what is your next challenge? Maybe you have one?
Well, my next challenge is, inshallah, having a coaching policy for Sharjah Police that would have all the regulations and it would make it a formal thing in Sharjah Police and get it approved. And the second thing is having actually a coaching branch or a coaching section that it's going to be one of a kind, because no any other organization or a police organization who has a coaching branch that could lead all these coaches in the organization. So this is my next goal.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As we're coming towards the end of our conversation today, although we could go on and on, what would be the biggest lesson you've learned from your past 3 years' experience?
My biggest lesson is that nothing is impossible. Anything could be done. When I reflect back, what we did was just an idea and we just kept going with it. And we kept developing this idea until it became an actual initiative, an actual culture in our organization. So nothing is possible. Anyone could do anything in their life. And also, when you know how to have the right support with you, the support system in the organization, it makes your work even better, because teamwork is everything. And when you have the support of your seniors and your juniors and everyone working together, you can achieve anything you want.
Would you have any advice for the people who are listening to us? Some are like you in organization, either governmental or private, HR or leader. What would be your best advice for them?
My best advice for them is that whenever you have an idea, just go with it. Start doing it and start making people around you help you to achieve it by involving them in your vision, in your idea, because at the end of the road, the benefit comes for all. So whenever you have any idea, just go for it and work with a happy environment. You will achieve whatever you need.
Like it.
Fantastic. Lieutenant Alya, thanks so much for sharing your unique and powerful story of coaching culture development within a very hierarchical style organization. We congratulate you as the first police force in EMEA to have pioneered coaching within its services. You are a true leader, and I can say on a personal note, I am bursting with pride as you are one of my alums. And I just cannot believe how you have taken the concept of coaching and developed it and applied it in such an ambitious way. Well done.
Thank you. And I'm really happy to be part of this podcast.
Stay tuned for the key takeaways from today's episode.
Wow, this is really a very, very inspiring example of how coaching can be transferable to any type of organization and culture. It was really fascinating for me to listen to Lieutenant Alya and what she has done and achieved in Sharjah Police. Linda, I know you have been working with them for quite long now. Would you comment how they managed to do that? What were the main drivers?
Yeah, it is a remarkable story. I mean, I've been living here in the United Arab Emirates for 12 years now. And, back then, coaching was little known. And to see it been mainstreamed now in an organization that Lieutenant Alya herself has said is very hierarchical, and police forces worldwide tend to be very command and control. But the Emirate of Sharjah within the United Arab Emirates is one of the more traditional emirates itself. So, it is a remarkable story to see coaching and a coaching culture being embraced by an organization like this, and also just proves that coaching is so transferable. It's a very plastic, if we like to say, modality in organization development. And I think that is a wow factor when we want to think about where transformation can happen anywhere in the world. But the beginning of the story, Catherine, as we said, it was a lot driven. And I guess all change needs a drive or a burning platform. And the key driver was the Happiness Index that is used with all government entities within the UAE. So annually, the government release a survey of employees, and every organization is rated in terms of how happy the employees are. And I guess Sharjah Police at that time noticed that morale was low. They were looking for a solution. And often it is just that one person, Lieutenant Alya in this case, who had the inspiration, who herself had experienced coaching, had seen the transformation, and sold this to the organization as a way of raising the level of the happiness index, which is an external benchmark that is nationally applied. And she has said they have seen year on year in increases and improvements of that index. So I think it's a great example of how an external metric actually can be used as the platform for change, and then the ongoing measurement of the return on investment.
This happiness index could be transferable anywhere, in any culture, in any kind of organization, actually. But it's really unique to have that as a driver. And I can see also something that really touched me a lot, which is the ripple effect of coaching, illustrated by what she mentioned about using coaching beyond employees, using coaching with all the stakeholders and clients of the organization, and even the wider society. In the case of the police, it's really amazing how coaching has been used also in the remedial part of the job with offenders and families, combined obviously with other intervention, to provide awareness and hopefully to avoid the offender to repeat what they have done. So I think that's really a vision of how coaching can have a social impact at scale. And also something that was interesting is to listen about what their social workers are doing, using their coaching skills among the families and the communities to have a larger impact. That's something very important for me to see how we can link coaching culture with sustainability, with inclusion, with social responsibility. And I do think that many organizations now in the world are really questioning themselves how they can be contributing to the better good and the social impact around them. That would be the takeaway for who is listening to us.
Yeah, I agree with you on the ripple effect. And of course, while they started initially targeting the coaching with their own staff and their police officers, that it quickly became apparent that this skill could also serve their clients, because they run the prison system as well, for instance, and, that they could support families of their offenders using the coaching. So a very creative way, I think, of giving back and making the change in the organization also impact the citizens at large. But I guess, the change makers, our audience listening to us, often wonder, well, how would I start that in my organization? How would I get buy-in? And the Sharjah Police story is inspiring for this, that it was a mid-level ranking officer who had the vision. But she went back and I loved how she said, I know they're very practical people, and that I get them to experience it before I could get a decision. And she was very clear that a presentation or theory wasn't going to be the influencing factor. And I love that she just persuaded her seniors to sit with her, and how they had these nuggets of transformation and, were bought into the whole program in that way. And also that as soon as they had trained up their first cohort of internal coaches, they immediately set up group coaching for those new coaches so that they could immediately showcase those skills to the rank and file. And the success of those group sessions actually created a demand for more officers who wanted to be trained as an internal coach. So it was quite clever using that influencing tactic by experimenting and doing it in real time. And I guess that's a big lesson for all of us at the forefront of change is you'll never have the perfect plan. There'll never be a perfect moment or the perfect team.
The lesson here is also the customization to the kind of organization you have in your hand and the capacity to adapt to the situation and to innovate. For example, she mentioned the gamification of learning. I can guess she had a quite young population among the officers, and the fact she was driving the change with new technology, application and gamification that they are used to play video games or whatever. I think it's very clever. It's also something that could inspire the organization to find the right way to experiment and to bring people into the learning rather than doing an old-style presentation, as you mentioned. She also mentioned other things. I would like you to comment about the court-martial system, which might be very strange or not very clear for our audience. Can you comment with the impact of coaching in that?
Yeah, obviously the disciplinary process in a command and control organization is slightly different to a regular organization. So they do, when there are misdemeanors, officers in the past would have faced a type of court-martial to be dealt with. And I loved how she had the foresight to incorporate coaching into that process. So she was explaining that when an officer had their first misdemeanor, instead of facing the court-martial, that they would be offered 6 to 8 coaching sessions. And in that way, it was more, I guess, a compassionate and a more developmental approach to a discipline process. And, you know, the awareness raising that brought and maybe the signal that it sent to the workplace in terms of making them feel more secure, more heard, more seen, more understood, I think was really an inspired move on their part.
Oh, yes. I really think and feel that she has managed to create a developmental organization with a lot of virtual circle with impact at many levels, and admire the willingness she had to create a legacy with that and to embed coaching as a part of the organization and create the coaching policy and define a coaching department to really make it at the core of the organization, not just a tool, but really a true part of the organization. And that's also something maybe inspiring for who is listening to us as a possible change in how the coaching could be considered in an organization.
Again, more great lessons and inspiration. Another wonderful case study. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Transform Tomorrow Today with your host, me, Catherine Tano, and Linda McLachlan. Again, our gratitude to our amazing guests for so generously sharing their transformation story.
Please follow us on @transformtomorrowtoday.podcast and be sure to download our show notes and tips and strategies on our LinkedIn page @transform-tomorrow-today. Let's join together so we can transform tomorrow today.